Welcome back to Meet the Coach. Again, I'm Pat Curran. We're the co-founders here at our coaching network. Today, we are talking with Coach Elven Walker. He is the corners and special teams coordinator at St. Francis University. Coach, I appreciate you joining me.
No doubt, man. Thanks for having me again.
Of course. It's always funny because we'll talk for like 10 minutes before this, and then I jump on here as if like we haven't already been talking.
Right.
Anyway, so, as I said before, like what I like about doing these is we're not talking X's and O's. We'll talk a little philosophy stuff, but like let's get to know the person behind the guy, the coach that we talk with. So talk to us about how you got here right now at St. Francis and that journey to become coach to start, and then where you're at now.
How I got here to St. Francis has been a journey, to say the absolute least, that has actually come full circle at this point in my career. Coach Scott Lewis, who is our defensive coordinator, he was the first person that ever offered me a football coaching position outside of, college, where I graduated from, Eastern Illinois. Back in 2017, I interviewed with him, and he was at Nebraska Kearney at the time.
Okay.
And me, I'm still young, I'm about 22 years old at the time. I was terrified to go all the way out to Nebraska, man. I couldn't explain how afraid I was of that experience, just because I was new to the profession. I had no idea that, the profession, sometimes you're going to have to move, man. Like, that's just a part of it. So he ended up offering me that opportunity, and, out of fear for, lack of any other feeling, I ended up turning that opportunity down. But in doing so, I started to coach at the high school level under Coach Jeremy Cordell, who was my head coach when I was in high school. So I started at Lincoln Way Central High School out in New Lenox, Illinois. And from there, I ended up going back to Eastern Illinois to pretty much volunteer, and to learn more. And those guys who were up there, Coach Kim Dameron and that entire staff, they were awesome to me. They allowed me to get that inside look at what the profession is all about. They taught me a ton. Coach Keith Scott, who's up at Central Arkansas now, he kind of just took me under his wing. So did Alba Hansborough. And after volunteering up there, and this was about 2017, 2018, I ended up taking a job at Carroll University. And there I coached the DBs, also coached special teams coordinator. That was a whole lot of fun, being in the CCIW, playing against that elite talent of the Wheaton colleges, the North Centrals of the world. It was dope, man. It was awesome. And then, after that, I ended up leaving Carroll University and going to co-college. And I was able to work alongside the guy who coached me my senior year of high school. And that's Cody Bethke. He was our defensive coordinator at co-college. And, I met him when I was just a teenager. And to have, my career come full circle in that way was, it was really just a start. And, had an awesome experience at co-college. I coached the inside backers, and I was a special teams coordinator up there. And, we had an awesome season. Coach Tyler Staker, who was our head coach, he was, he's just an awesome guy, and just taught me a whole lot about life being up there at Co. And, Co kind of segued me to this opportunity. And it was probably one of the coolest days of my life. I'd, gotten that special teams coordinator tag after a year of being at Co. And, I had actually, just kind of accepted that position. And not even 30 minutes after that, I get a call from Scott Lewis. Okay. And, he's telling me about this opportunity, and it was everything that I thought it would be. Cause I remember turning down that opportunity back in 2017 and looking at my girlfriend saying, we're going to see him again. I don't know when, I don't know why, I don't know how, but sure. It's going to happen again. And sure enough, man, he circled the block for us, and now we're here. We got up here on a cold, gloomy day, and I knew that if I could love this place in that type of weather, that everything else is going to fall into place. Sure. And more importantly, I think it was the people up here, man, that really did it for me. Like, the place is the place, but the people ultimately make the place what it is, and that's what these people are up here, man. They're awesome.
Yeah. I think the theme, and we hear that a lot on these, is relationships, right?
100%. 100%.
That's why
Relationships,
you
like
are.
real
Yeah.
relationships, like
Now, if you were a shitty coach, those relationships would not matter, right? Obviously,
right, no
that's a big
doubt.
part of that too. But
Yeah,
have those relationships either. It's that double component, right? Good coach, good
100%.
relationships that brought you where you are now.
Exactly right. Yep.
Are you? So you've coached for this will be your fifth season.
This is going on year 6.
Year 6. So you've done 5. Gonna be year 6.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Yep.
go back, if you go back to that young high school coach who turned to a college gig, what would you tell him that you wish you knew 5 years ago going into this whole I'm gonna be a football coach deal?
Man, what would I tell that young coach? I would tell that young coach to be patient. Be patient. And I think that's been the theme of my life. That's something that I think I'll forever have to work on. And I don't mind forever having to work on that part of my life, because I think me being patient has landed me in this spot right now. And when I say be patient, I don't mean just wait. I mean work while you wait. Like, that's how I view patience. And yeah, that young coach that was chomping at the bit and knew he would be in this position at some point, might have been a little anxious and eager at some points earlier on in his career. I would tell that guy to be patient.
Sure. Do you so you've been a coordinator, our coordinator, right?
Right.
You've coached your own rooms. What would you say like your philosophy coaching wise is? Different than being a head coach, right? But like
right.
your own rooms and you've got your hosting meetings and group meetings, full team meetings, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Teams wise. What would you say your philosophy is and how you want to continue to build on that?
My philosophy has changed quite a bit over the years. I think every year it has changed. Yeah. And right now, as it stands, my coaching philosophy is to feed the hearts, minds, and souls of everybody I come across. I think that being human is like the best part of this job. We're not robots. People are different. People have real life stuff going on, and my players have real life stuff going on. And I have to be flexible in my approach. And I think that has kind of been the lifeblood of my coaching style, if you will. And that FEED, that FEED, it's an acronym that I made, and it stands for, the F is faith. That's first and foremost in any and everything that I do. That was something that I learned when I was a freshman at Eastern Illinois University under Dino Babers. He taught us about faith and reiterated every single day that, faith is belief without evidence, but also faith in yourself, faith in everything around you. That E, that first E is for education. I grew up in a single parent household. Education was stressed heavily. My mom didn't have a high school diploma, but she knew her kids were going to have a high school diploma. They were going to graduate college. They were going to do what they were supposed to do, and not just learn in school, but learn in life. You know what I mean? Just be on that constant hunt for knowledge. And I make sure that I implore that like to my players, always be in the hunt for knowledge, not just knowledge from me, but knowledge from everywhere. If you can learn from another coach and come back and teach me something, excellent. I'm all for it. The second E is expect to win. That was picked up when I was at Coe College. We had a motto, and that motto was expect to win, but that motto kind of trickled down to the way that we prepared. And it really just, it kept us focused. The fact that not only are we going to expect to win, but we can expect to win if we're not prepared. So just taking your preparation seriously and slowly, if you will, to be thorough. I think that was the whole premise behind expect to win. And that's why I adopted that second E. And then the D, that last letter in my coaching philosophy is differentiation. And I took a course when I was at Carroll University. I was still taking classes, trying to get that special ed and that health certification. But I took a class called Exceptional Learners. It was probably one of the coolest courses I ever took as a student. And I learned a term called differentiation. And that term was the idea that, little Johnny is going to be different on Tuesday than he was on Monday. And as his coach, I need to be able to adhere to that. He's got stuff going on. I need to be flexible in my approach. And it keeps coaching fresh for me, because every day is going to be something different. Even with myself, every day is going to be something different. So I think, having my philosophy being to feed the hearts, minds, and souls kind of keeps me in a service mentality. And, you know, I've gained a lot of energy from having my coaching philosophy be this over the last several months or so.
Sure. Love that. Love that. How do you implement that into your players, that whole feed mentality? Like, what are you doing I mean, I'm sure you discuss it, right? But
No doubt.
how do you implement it on the daily with those guys?
On the daily with those guys, making sure that they are comfortable enough to challenge one another respectfully. I think that, you know, let's talk about my room in particular. If I'm a DB, I need that receiver across from me to give me his best effort. And I think one of the best ways that I could do that is to build him up. I can't be trying to tear that guy down all the time. I need to serve that guy in some type of way in order for him to give me his best and serve me well. Because on Saturdays, the guys across from you, they don't know you like that. They don't really care too much about you. They're gonna get at you, man. So if you're not helping your teammate out and trying your best to prepare him for what's to come on that Saturday, then you're doing him a disservice. And it starts with service. You know, I think that has been at the forefront of a lot of the things that I've done within my coaching career. And honestly, it kind of not only does it keep me in that service mentality, but it keeps me, you know, in that attitude of gratitude all the time, you know, because I'm grateful for my players being able to pick that up and, you know, enact it upon each other. And for them to understand that, yeah, I might be ripping your head off on this play, but it's still all love. And I want the best out of you so that you get the best out of me.
Sure. How do you yourself do, I say this all the time, how do yourself do self-evaluation? What do you do for self-evaluation? How do you evaluate what you do as a coach to become a better coach next year than you are right now today?
Self-evaluation, I try to take everything into consideration. I know I'm not perfect. I'm very, very far from it. But I give myself time to reflect often, like every day. And I'm in the perfect area for it. St. Francis University is literally at the top of a mountain, very peaceful, very serene environment. So you can take a walk and look at some nature and think about the places you've been and the things you've learned. And in doing so, like I keep a couple whiteboards at home in my office, and I'll jot down a whole lot of ideas that I remember from the years and things that I've done in the past that I liked and didn't like about, you know, my style of coaching. For example, when I was a younger coach, I didn't have expect to win as a part of my coaching philosophy. My coaching philosophy was belief, education, and determination. And it didn't really have too much about expect to win. So my level of preparation was a little different. And I wouldn't say that I was not prepared, you know, because we always had great results. But my level of preparation has improved tenfold because of my ability to evaluate who I was as a youngin', you know, to where I am now in my life and in my coaching career. But outside of those self-evaluations, I try to make sure that I'm always in the ear of the guys that I work closely with. You know, just asking them the real questions, you know, the questions that not a lot of people love to hear the real answer to, but questions that I need to know that answer to in order for me to improve. You know, the things that I did well last year. What are some ways you think I could teach this better, and stuff like that. And I would say guys like DJ Bland, who coaches the corners over at Eastern Illinois, people like him have been incredibly instrumental in my growth as a coach. Just seeing his growth, it allows me to gauge my own growth. And I think it's just pretty cool to be able to have somebody that's willing to share their stories and their growth and the way they prepare with you in order to help you grow.
Yeah, for sure. 5 years from now, what do you want to, this upcoming 5 years, what do you want to look back and have seen from yourself as a coach through your players?
I want to see the impact that I have on my players through the fruit that they bear. I want to see my guys have a lot of success in life and, you know, in their families, you know, for example, being great fathers, being great mentors to people and serving others. I think that me being able to see that, like aside from them walking across the stage, because that's big for me as well. I need to see my guys walk across that stage and get those papers. But outside of that, I want to see those guys in the community making it better and understanding that they're going to leave this place one day. And when they leave this place, that respect that they garner for others is going to last way after their presence is gone physically.
Sure. All right. Last one. I always like to end on this one. One coach you've never worked with that you would love to work with in the future, and why?
One coach that I've never worked with that I'd love to work with in the future. I would go ahead and say I got two guys. Either Coach
Deal. We can do that.
Coach Dan McEwen over at Saginaw Valley State. I just love the way he thinks about the game. It has enhanced the way I teach, coach, and train this game big time. And I've only, talked to him a handful of times, but seen him in person maybe a few times. Yeah. His mind works differently. And then I would say Brennan Marion. He is a very exciting guy to follow. And I follow him on social media. I don't know him personally, but he has always been very receptive. I've read his book. I've DM'd him a couple times. He's always gotten right back to me. But he approaches the game similar to how I do. And, he's had a ton of success, man. And how could you not be a fan of that? So I'm a big fan of his. I'd love to work closely with him and learn from that guy.
I think those are two great guys. No, Brennan. Brennan was on our minority coaches on the rise earlier this year. Coach McEwen was not, but certainly familiar with him and a great coach in his own right. So, Coach, really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Sure. No doubt.